and a very warm good evening to all you lovely people sitting out there. दोस्तों आज है एक बार फिर से बुधवार की शाम जब हम वापस से आपके लिए हाजिर हुए हैं लेकर गुड इवनिंग इंडिया. And as they say, there's always a ray of hope or light at the end of the tunnel. We all know how much of a devastation has been caused by the earthquake that hit Nepal, and as a result just led to the deterioration of life, somewhere leaving a lot of tears and also we should be saying devastation, agony and grief. लेकिन उसके बाद the amount of efforts that have been put in by the Indian Air Force to just bring back a ray of hope into the lives of those people whose lives had just gone astray has been commendable. That's a very small word for that. And आज का हमारा पूरा issue, पूरा topic इसी के ऊपर है, the earthquake that has hit Nepal, the devastation and also the rescue efforts. Well, it's always requires a lot of courage and somewhere should I say उसके साथ साथ एक बहुत बड़ा दिल होना चाहिए to go up and somewhere do trekking or reach those mountains on those higher spots and to be a witness of the fact when these calamities hit is actually in a way beautiful yet terrifying. And आज हमारे साथ यहाँ पर एक बहुत ही खास शख्स मौजूद हैं जिन्होंने जब नेपाल में अर्थक्वेक आया उस समय वहीं से बेस कैंप मकालू एडवांस्ड बेस कैंप से एक वीडियो कैप्चर करी और बना के दिखाया. एंड ही हिमसेल्फ वाज द माउंटेनियर हु वाज एट दैट टाइम एट दैट वेरी स्पॉट.
Hello guys, this is Arjun from Advanced Base Camp of Makalu. We've had a lot of disturbance here due to the earthquake which was reported in Nepal. All along that base, now it's covered into clouds. We had quite a few big avalanches coming down of those phases. From here we had quite a bit of rockfall. Most of our team is okay. We're doing well. Some of our team members just moved up today towards Camp 1 and Camp 2. We still do not have any report from them. We're trying to get in touch with them. Some people have gone up towards Camp 1. We should hear from them soon. I hope all is well up there. See you.
And the youngest mountaineer to have climbed Mount Everest at a tender age of 16 years is today with us, whom you just now saw in the video footage also, Arjun Bajpai. Welcome to the show. And with him, ladies and gentlemen, we also have a very special person over here today who has been a part of the entire rescue efforts that have been carried out by the Indian Air Force, Army and the National Disaster Management. Yes, we have with us Air Commodore Wagle, Vayu Sena Medal, Indian Air Force. आपका भी बहुत-बहुत स्वागत है. Very warm good evening to you, sir.
Thank you, Sakshi.
Well, we all know that the amount of efforts that have been put in to rescue the people who have been a part of this entire devastation has been huge. Thanks to the Indian Air Force and the Army, sir. First of all, thanks to you. But let me just first ask Arjun kahin ki you've been a mountaineer. At a very tender young age, you started climbing these huge mountains. It was almost like a passion for you. And we all know कि some of the most susceptible regions जो होते हैं जब earthquakes और ऐसी बड़ी calamities आती हैं वो mountains सबसे पहले hit होते हैं. So this time when the earthquake hit Nepal, what was the first thing that you witnessed when you were there at that spot?
हम लोग हमारे communication tent में बैठे हुए थे. हम लोग we were at 19,500 feet at the ABC of Makalu Advanced Base Camp. सबसे पहले मैं और मेरे कुछ दोस्त जो बैठे हुए थे हम लोगों को लगा कि हम लोगों को हाई एल्टीट्यूड सिकनेस हो रहा है क्योंकि वी ऑलरेडी बीन देयर फॉर द नेक्स्ट पास्ट 2 days एंड वी वर एट 19,500 feet सो ऑब्वियसली द ऑक्सीजन लेवल्स वर रियली लो. तो पहले हम लोगों का हाई एल्टीट्यूड सिकनेस है बट फिर जब तक हम लोग मजाक से बाहर निकले और जब तक हम लोगों को पता लगा कि कुछ हुआ ही होगा तब तक हम लोगों को एक बहुत डिस्टिंक्ट साउंड आती है ऑफ दिस बिग मैसिव एवलांच which starts coming down the southeastern ridge of Makalu. Makalu is the 5th highest mountain in the world. We were there to climb it. We had some Spanish people, we had some Belgians, we had some Americans, we had in a total of 60 odd some climbers who were there. 10 to 12 climbers, 10 से 12 climber कुछ Camp 1 से Camp 2 के बीच में थे. और जब ये avalanche सबसे पहले आया तब सबसे पहले हम लोगों के दिमाग में ही आया था कि आज इन लोगों को सबसे ज़्यादा खतरा है and we have to rescue them today probably because they are up there. जब तक we could come out with a plan and everything till the time this was the first video was from 12 in the noon. After that, then the first aftershock came in till 12:15. So till 12:15 there we saw this massive piece of Sirax, ice Sirax, बहुत बड़ी एक चट्टान थी, about 70 to 80
Coming
meters
down.
wide and about 70 80 meters more long. It just came down with the second aftershock, and that came down straight towards Camp 2, which then completely destroyed Camp 2 for us, for sure.
My God.
And now we were for certainly certain that somebody would have definitely been there, and there are definitely a lot of casualties now which you're going to have to face. तो बट जब तक हम लोग हमारी रेस्क्यू टीम ऊपर भेजने आते तब तक एज यूजुअल मौसम ख़राब होना शुरू हो गया, क्योंकि इट इज़ नाउ इन द आफ्टरनून, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ क्लाउड्स कमिंग इन, देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ विंड देयर एंड देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ डिस्टर्बेंस इन द वेदर आल्सो विद द अर्थक्वेक सडनली. या सो नाउ अब लोगों को समझ भी नहीं आ रहा कि अब रेस्क्यू टीम भेजी जाए, वो पहुंच भी पाएगी कैंप 2 तक कि नहीं पहुंच पाएगी. रेडियो कनेक्शंस हम इस्टेब्लिश कर नहीं पा रहे बिकॉज देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ क्लाउड्स. सो इट गॉट रियली ट्रिकी आफ्टर, बट thankfully after 12 hours the weather cleared, we got some radio contact and everybody was down. From our team we had 2 people from Austria who were climbing and were right the last people to come down that ice face, and it was they were shocked. One of them left the next day, and the next one was like I don't know what I'm going to do now, because
Yes, obviously it's scary. जब इतने बड़े लेवल पे, इनफैक्ट 7.3 रिक्टर स्केल पे अर्थक्वेक आया था, उसके आफ्टर शॉक्स ऑल अक्रॉस नॉर्थ इंडिया फील करे गए हैं. सो आई शुड बी आस्किंग यू कोमोडो वागले कि इतने बड़े लेवल पे एयरफोर्स ने और आर्मी ने रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशंस कैरी आउट किए हैं. सल्यूट टू यू फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल एंड योर एंटायर टीम जिसने किया है. बट व्हेन सच लेवल्स ऑफ डेवास्टेशन अकर, what are the first things or the first efforts जो आप लोग करते हैं सबसे पहले? Obviously to free the casualties वहाँ से सबसे पहले. How does it all work and function?
The Indian Air Force is always prepared for such kind of calamities.
Right.
Because in most disasters which strike our country, the first responder is invariably the Indian Air Force,
Yes.
the Indian Army,
Yeah.
and of course now the NDMA.
Yes.
As you are aware, and it was well publicized, that our aircraft were airborne within 4 to 5 hours
Yes.
of the tremors hitting, and our aircraft had landed in Kathmandu even while Nepal was still recovering from the shock of what has happened. Our helicopters were there in the first light the next morning, and actually they were the ones there contributing to setting up the entire structure there,
exactly.
because the people were still getting over the horror of what had happened,
yes,
and they were looking at their own survival first. So when our helicopters landed there, they were actually part of setting up of the entire process along with the Nepalese army.
Yeah, but obviously it's heart wrenching somewhere because you see इतनी बड़ी बड़ी buildings, जो उनका सबसे माना हुआ टेम्पल था वो भी कोलैप्स कर गया उसके साथ साथ. So इतनी बड़ी buildings जब कोलैप्स हो चुकी हैं, there was a lot of debris all around and people buried under that. And to take them out, it's heart wrenching when you just go there and you've got to take out somewhere those souls who've just passed away under the debris out there.
It is heart wrenching, but our brave soldiers from the NDMA, our rescue teams from the NDMA, the NDRF, and our Indian Army has been at the forefront of these efforts, and the engineering teams which you have sent, our medical teams. We have a medical team from the Indian Air Force which has gone there. We call it the RAMT. It's a rapidly deployable air mobile team, medical team, which is right now functioning in Nepal and doing an yeoman service to the Nepalese people.
Oh, that's commendable. That is commendable. But अर्जुन जैसे भी बता रहे हैं, हमें कोमोडो वाग्ले ने बताया, ये तो ग्राउंड के सारे एफर्ट्स हो रहे हैं. आप वहाँ पे थे at a height of some 19,500 feet from your base camp basically, and then you had to come down. Tell our viewers something about that experience कि आपने वो जो distance cover किया of coming down, जो normally 2 से 2.5 दिन लेता है, you had to come down in 4 hours. Slightly detailed explanation to our viewers about that.
It was we took a call of हम लोगों ने decide करा कि finally अब नीचे उतरना चाहिए क्योंकि we had started running out of rations finally. तो खाने पीने को कुछ खाना बचेगा नहीं, तो अब we cannot spend so much time at an altitude then. So then we decided that we'll have to head down from 19,500 feet to a possibly place where we can get a helicopter coming in and rescuing us then, because now we were the last people on the mountain. मेरे साथ जैसा मैंने आपको पहले बताया 5 एंड में 5 स्पेनिश लोग बचे थे, 2 ऑस्ट्रियन, मैं, 3 शेरपाज और 6 पोर्टर्स। हम सब लोग काफ़ी एक डिस्टर्ब्ड वैली से नीचे उतरे क्योंकि देयर वाज अ लॉट ऑफ रॉकफॉल, फ्रेश रॉकफॉल, काफ़ी चट्टानें टूट गई थी, काफ़ी देयर वाज अ लॉट ऑफ न्यू रॉक व्हिच हैड कम डाउन इनटू द वैली ऑनटू द ग्लेशियर. So tackling that entire patch of 1,000 meters was really difficult. From 19,500 feet, we came down to 18.5. From there, then we started communicating with the Nepalese army. They were doing our rescue, and hats off to the Indian Army for coordinating a rescue like that at such a high altitude, because getting people there motivated enough was itself a big task, and the Indian Army managed to do that along with the helps of the Nepalese army.
Right, but when you're there at a height, you जैसे आपने कहा भी अभी कि जब वहाँ पे avalanche आना शुरू हुआ, you had idea that there would be some casualties. How did you deal with those casualties at that point in time?
Fortunately, there were no casualties. There were a little bit of injuries. कुछ लोगों को चोटें आई थी. Obviously बात है, कई लोगों ने उस avalanche की चपेट में आए थे, but not so much was done. Not so much damage was done. Dealing with them is what we are trained of. We have been trained since I don't know, our training days when we started as young mountaineers. I was more younger. I don't know how funny that sounds, but yes. हम लोगों को ट्रेन किया जाता है ऐसे एक ऑल्टीट्यूड में ऐसी जगहों पे सर्वाइव करना. तो मेरे लिए जो फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी थी, जब हम लोगों से शुरुआत में पूछा जा रहा था कि आप जब 25th को अर्थक्वेक आया था कि आप लोग क्यों नहीं जा रहे हैं, आप लोग क्यों नहीं रेस्क्यू मंगवा रहे हैं, तो हम लोग बोल रहे थे हम लोग क्यों मंगाए रेस्क्यू, जब हम वी हैव in a very conscious state of mind taking this decision of being up there. We have to help people who are because of us here.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Some people, there were so many people in the entire Nepal who needed their rescue more than us, or who needed those helicopters more than us. And that is why we said, unlike the Everest Valley, we are not going to be panicking, or obviously we did not have any medical injuries also, but in the Everest Valley there were several medical injuries. Keeping that in mind, the Indian Army and the Nepalese Army have done a fantastic job, all through and through. Yes.
It's been a very, very commendable effort. In fact, हमारे पास एक वीडियो भी है आपका जिसमें you've sent across a message. Let's just show you all that video message that Arjun had to share.
Hello guys, this is Arjun Vajpayee from Makalu ABC. Me along with my 8 team members have decided to leave our expedition and start heading down. We have a lot of Sherpas with us, we have a lot of porters with us. We're going to try and make everybody reach home safely. We know the damage to the route on our way back down has been done a lot. We know there's a lot of rockfall, there's a lot of ice which has been coming down from the phases on our way back down, but we're going to try and do our best to make everybody reach home safely. We're at 19,500 feet. Our next destination is going to be Hillary Base Camp. Hopefully we all reach there safely.
Well, जो हमने भी वीडियो देखा भी है, जिस ऐसे यू सेंडिंग अक्रॉस दैट मैसेज, दिस इज जस्ट प्रायर टू यू बिफोर हेडिंग डाउन विद द कैजुअलिटीज. दिस ब्रिंग्स टू माई माइंड, कमोडो वागले, आपसे अगर पूछूँ, when you had your entire air force and you had your charters and you even had your crafts reaching and touching the camp or the base ground जहाँ पे devastation हुआ था, what were your instant first things after that? Figuring out casualties and transporting base, how did you manage to get food and everything coordinated with the people in India and then sent it across to Nepal? वो सब कैसे आपने coordination किया है?
The response from India was overwhelming, in the sense there was support pouring in from everywhere. So the prioritization for the load was essentially done by the NDMA in consultation with the Ministry of External Affairs, which was consulting Nepal as to what is it that they need. And based on this consultation, we were sending in our rescue effort through our fixed wing aircraft. That is, we have very large strategic aircraft called the C-17s, we have C-130s, we have the large IL-76. These aircraft were ferrying in load. And from there on, of course, as you can see the helicopters there, they were the ones which were taking the lead. So this was the front end which is in touch with the Nepalese people, and what the Indian people saw was the fixed wings which are going in with the load. But these heart-rending scenes which you can see, our helicopter pilots have braved tremendous odds and some real extremely challenging flying skills they have demonstrated, and some real professionalism to reach out to the people of Nepal in such difficult conditions.
Yes, and it's somewhere very, very beautiful to see ki how does just एक आम आदमी किसी से यूनाइट हो जाता है in the spirit of just helping each other. You may not know each other, but at that point it's just humanity that comes together. Look at the amount of hope that those people have in their eyes when they've actually boarded the craft, and you see those footages in the eyes, the ray that they have, that yes, you've come as a savior for them at that point in time. It's
Yes,
you
my
just-
pilots have been in touch with me. My air crew, they tell me tales of how the poor people of Nepal have literally hugged them and cried tears of joy and tears of sorrow. It's been a mix because they have been carrying their wounded with them in their arms. They have carried very sadly their people who died,
Right.
and we had to carry mortal remains along with them. It has been heartrending, but what keeps the boys going, as they say, is the despair which they see in our brother Nepalese eyes, and the gratitude which they see in the old people and in the young children and the infants, which my men have literally carried in their arms to rescue.
यस ऑब्वियसली एंड इंडिया की तरफ से हमें पता है कि बहुत सारे लाइक अलग अलग, अगर हम दिल्ली की बात करें जहाँ हम रहते हैं, सो वी नो दैट देयर सो मेनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस दैट हैव कम टुगेदर एंड डिसाइडेड टू मेक फूड एंड सेंड इट अक्रॉस. You would be knowing that people coming and then sending across food. How would you like to tell or stage the fact that people within the country, not just the army, the government or the air force for that matter, but even the common masses of the country have come together to just send across their care and concern in the form of, in any form, be it in the form of food, shelter, clothing, across to you people, so that you can send it across. वो response कैसा लगा आपको?
It was overwhelming, like I said. The kind of, in fact, you will know that the Kathmandu International Airport is a very small airport by international standards,
yes.
and it has a very
Big
limited
definition,
capacity.
yeah.
And because it's a tourist destination, the international airport accommodates nationalities of all over the world who come in for this mountaineering season. So there was a demand for a lot of aircraft from various countries to come in to rescue their own people. So the Indian government was able to get only very few slots to bring in relief material, and of course, as the relief materials come in, we were also able to take out all our distressed Indian tourists who were there. So while we had far more capacity to take in relief material, it was essentially limited to an extent by how much the Nepalese airport could accommodate.
Yes, वो बहुत ज़रूरी चीज़ होती है. But tell me one thing, where आपके जो charters और crafts land करते थे, were they supposed to be landing where exactly? Just at the airport, or were they allowed to even land at the base camps या on the grounds जहाँ पे वो कर सकते थे? Possibility.
जो इंडिया से गए हमारे बड़े जहाज,
हाँ जी.
वो तो सिर्फ रनवे पे लैंड कर सकते हैं.
And the smaller
और
ones?
हमारे जो हेलीकॉप्टर्स गए हैं, उनको तो जो दहशत वहाँ फैली हुई थी, जो सारा डिस्ट्रक्शन हुआ है, वहाँ तो कोई हेलीपैड या कोई था नहीं. तो जहाँ पे उन्होंने देखे कि गांव वाले खड़े हैं बाहर, तो हेलीकॉप्टर पायलट्स वहाँ ढूंढते थे आसपास कहीं जगह है, और जहाँ भी हवाई जहाज को उतार पाए वहाँ उतार के उन्होंने रिलीफ मटेरियल उनको पहुँचाया हुआ है. ये बहुत ही खतरनाक काम, क्योंकि हेलीपैड के बिना हम हेलीकॉप्टर उतारते नहीं हैं. पर ये जो था, ये उनके जीवन मृत्यु का बिल्कुल परिस्थिति थी. इस सिचुएशन में उनको बचाना बहुत जरूरी था. तो पायलट्स ने अपनी पूरी प्रोफेशनलिज्म दिखा के ऐसे लैंडिंग की है और हजारों लोग बचाए हैं उन्होंने.
Yes, and I guess that's exactly the day when you live up to or probably be in a line where you are. आप उस दिन के लिए रहते हैं कि हमें इस तरह के दिन आए कभी जहाँ पे हम लोगों की आंखों में एक होप ला सकें, एक रे, and we can be the saviors when they need you the most. It's these days that you live up to somewhere at the end of the day.
किसी हेलीकॉप्टर पायलट के लाइफ का ये मेरे ख्याल में दिस इज द सेटिस्फैक्शन, लाइक यू सेड, ऑफ हिज एंटायर करियर.
Right.
That he could save not one life. Even if a man saves one life, he feels he's achieved something in life. Here, the pilots have saved thousands.
Very right.
So, I think they will be well satisfied. And at Air Headquarters, under the Vice Chief's branch, where we handle operations, we are also fairly satisfied that we could facilitate all these operations.
That's the reason we said commendable to the Indian Air Force and also to the entire Army and the National Disaster Management. All three have just come together beautifully. In fact, Arjun, आपने जो बात कही थी, वो बात अगर कहीं ना कहीं रिलेट करी जाए, जैसे कमांडर वागले कह भी रहे थे अभी कि उनकी पूरी एयर फोर्स वहाँ पर हाजिर थी उस समय. In the next 4 hours since the calamity happened, their their entire crafts had landed. They had crafts from India going over there, and that's what you had also said, that more important was the fact कि जो ground पे लोग कहीं ना कहीं affected हुए उनको जाके save किया जाए, because you are trained to live for these days at times, but the people who are there on the ground need them more than probably you need them. So when you were walking down and you witnessed, how difficult was that walk of 4 hours that you had to take to come down 4,000 feet to be able to actually put yourself in a craft that would take you away?
Difficult, yes, for sure.
Because it's a huge distance. जो normally 2 से 2.5 दिन में अपने कहाँ तक
हाँ
cover
जी,
होता था.
पूरा ये पैच है अराउंड 27 किलोमीटर का, ये हम लोगों को जो बोला गया 4 घंटे के अंदर कवर करना है, और सडनली वी वर लाइक अब क्या करा जाएगा, क्योंकि वी आर नाउ एट 18,500 फीट, गोइंग डाउन एट सच ऑल्टीट्यूड्स is quite tiring.
Exactly.
You know, it's quite exhausting. Every step you take, you feel more exhausted than what you would do here. तो naturally ही आपको काफ़ी थकान हो जाती है, और but in all, definitely it was one of those most relieving days of my life when we saw that helicopter out there and we said, they're finally there and we're going to go back home.
But what was the devastation more when you actually hit the ground and you saw people around you, or did you feel that the devastation that had happened up at the altitudes when you were trekking was higher?
No, the devastation down in the ground was definitely higher. You'll definitely be a lot more safer on the mountain than in any other city, I'm sure. People were on the roads. There were बहुत सारे लोगों को खाना नहीं मिल रहा था, कई जगहों को सोने के लिए जगह नहीं थी. In the earlier days, but I'm sure this is what we were hearing because we were in the mountains. जब हम वापस आए तब तक थोड़ा situation was more calmer, and as I said, naturally the armies had come in and everything was being taken care of. It looked like a more normal situation than what would be a crisis situation.
Yes, but you've somewhere, अगर हम आपकी ही बात करें, at the young age that you are, you've been one of the superheroes of the country for that fact of matter, because वहाँ पे रह के you've made videos, you've sent across messages to the world showing what's happening actually from right the spot जहाँ पर आप हैं. In fact, we also have a satellite message of yours. बात करेंगे. Let's show you that message also now.
I think it was too hot and the ice is
we'll talk
broken
about this.
down.
अभी आवाज नहीं
but
जाएगी आपकी, but I
I'm
want
not
to ask you
thinking
about
about
this.
the earthquake.
Okay.
On the right side there was big ice broken, falling down. To the left side there was a big avalanche and Günther was down in the middle of this disaster.
This is not you. Wait, I can't
was
recognize whether this.
I thought now it's all broken and I am falling down more than 100 meters.
Well, so that was a satellite message जो हम देख रहे थे. इनफैक्ट मैं आपसे कह भी रही थी कि उस वीडियो के अंदर जो शख्स हैं वो आप हैं कि वो आपके साथ के, मतलब वो भी
हमारे साथ के क्लाइंबर
हाँ
थे, और इनका नाम हांस है. He's from Austria, and he was the one who was between Camp 1 and Camp 2. So he saw actually the ice split. पूरी उनको बर्फ की चट्टानें फटती हुई देखी अपनी आंखों के सामने, और उन्होंने बहुत I asked him very kindly that he would like to share this experience because I would like to send this back to home to people, but that you're okay and you're fine. So जो videos हम लोगों ने upload करे, they played in a very positive way also. A lot of people, बहुत सारे लोगों को अपने घर पे पता लगा कि हाँ मकालू वैली में एटलीस्ट ज़ीरो कैजुअलिटीज़ दे. बहुत लोगों को दिलासा मिल गया कि हाँ हम एटलीस्ट जो लोग मकालू वैली साइड पे थे वो लोग ओके हैं. what damage has been done, अगर हुआ भी है डैमेज तो क्या हुआ है. So they got circulated in a very positive way to help out people as well.
Well, that's beautiful. That's somewhere really good. In fact, जब यहाँ से आप आए, आप नीचे उतरे हैं, and you came down finally, जहाँ से आपको Indian Air Force ने finally pick up किया है, उस दौरान when you hit the Everest Base Camp also, there was a rescue operation that was happening over there also. Tell us something about that also first.
We did not hit the Everest Base Camp, but we came down. हाँ जी, we came down in the Makalu Valley itself, and we saw there were some places where other people were being helped, and the army was right there at the forefront, and everything was being taken care of.
Now look at this image that we see in the video. As a common person, when I see this, I get scared. To imagine you being over there, because you can see कि helicopter जैसे से जब land होता है, it's just landed in the middle of nowhere to just pick up people, pick up those lives that are there at that point. How scary, first of all, should I be asking you, Commander Wagle, कि जब आप लोग इसे से लैंडिंग करते हैं at such high altitudes, you see there's ice, and ice से जो पूरा धुआं निकलता है, it's foggy all around, there's a landing which is happening nowhere. Does it actually scare you in moments? Because you know you're bearing also the burden of those lives who are living over there.
Absolutely. Actually, these small helicopters which you see, these are not military helicopters. These are private operators which operate
Oh.
up to the base camp.
Okay.
Because as you've seen that there is no space for
A landing.
of large helicopters.
Exactly. Huh.
So these small helicopters are private operators. They are the ones who take the tourists up there and rescue them if there are any injured or sick people. And the large evacuation efforts happen from helipads which are below base camp.
Right. Right. But
So in case of Mount Everest, we rescued almost 7 to 8 nationalities from the Mount Everest trek,
My God.
from a place called Lukla, and today we have rescued some people from a place called Simboche.
oh my God.
Almost 150 odd people we have rescued,
Very good.
various
Commendable.
nationalities. We have rescued French, some Britishers, we have rescued the Spanish, of course the local Nepalese Sherpas and porters who accompany them. So it's been an international kind of effort, and we have had we have had acknowledgement from lot many embassies across the world.
I'm sure. And
thanking
also
us
from
for
the
our effort.
government, yes, it's actually a very commendable effort. Like this really brings to my mind one thing. Okay, as a mountaineer, Arjun, you would be trained. You go through a training process where you're told and also taught how to adapt to these difficult climatic situations and conditions. For you as Commander Wagle, as a person, or should I say as a flyer for that matter, आप लोग को exactly इस तरह की situations में in those moments, are you also trained as to how to adapt yourself to such extreme climatic situations जहाँ पे ना तो landing तो छोड़िए, I'm talking about the climatic conditions that prevail at that point where breathing is almost impossible because the air levels or oxygen level become so thin. Are you trained for those situations?
Yes, the Indian Air Force does train the helicopter pilots to fly in these conditions because in our day-to-day we have pilots who are doing this on a daily basis in the Siachen Glacier.
Okay.
And they are operating at altitudes which are beyond these. We are flying at altitudes which are higher than Mount Everest base camp, and we are doing it on a daily
God.
basis. So we are very fortunate in this situation to have had pilots who are very well trained in high altitude operations.
That's
It is
beautiful.
therefore we were able to be the first responders, and it's only now that we are having the Chinese and the Americans who have managed to come with their air effort. But for the first 10 days, it is only the Indian helicopters which are
Very
there
right,
along with the
very,
Nepalese.
very right. In fact, that's you've said that very rightly, Arjun. I would like to ask you, आप लोग जब इस तरह के expeditions करते हैं, so how do you manage your entire ration that you carry with you? How is it all managed? आप लोग foodings लेके चलते होंगे अपने पूरा. You carry also your sleeping stuff like bunkers, and there's a lot of stuff. How do you manage all of that?
And there's a lot of equipment, there's a lot of technical equipment which you're going to be using on the mountain apart from just rations. Rations are obviously सबसे ज़्यादा
Huge में, advanced में.
खाने का सामान रहता है, क्योंकि जब आपकी टीम है, कई बारी टीम्स चली जाती हैं 15 से 20 लोगों की, तो 15 से 20 जनों का अगले 2 से ढाई महीने का खाना, रहने की जगह, enough fuel for everybody, oxygen tanks, tents, small things like toilet paper to everything, backpacks, आपका equipment. तो कई सारी चीज़ें होती हैं जो हम लोगों को ले जाना पड़ता है. Clothing रहती है to survive such extreme temperature conditions, and shoes, heavy things. So these all things are carried by a complete team of porters who help us and who are equally part of all our success climbs also. Sherpas who contribute to our climb up in high altitudes. We climb when we climb with supplementary oxygen. Sherpas are the ones who open sometimes routes for us. We all work as a team together.
Yes,
So they carry some loads for us, we carry some loads for them. It's all a team effort which goes into this entire climb, and that is why it's very difficult to pinpoint एक इंसान को इसका श्रेय देना बहुत गलत माना जाता है,
It's a team effort,
क्योंकि
yeah.
from the very base camp itself, from the very cities itself, porters to everybody all along the way is a part of your climb. And it's beautiful to see how people from different nationalities come together at one base to achieve one single goal
Which
in
is
their
to
lives,
touch the top.
which is to touch the top, you know, from different social stratas, different habits, different everyday living habits, and सब एक साथ आते हैं, सब घुल मिलते
इनफैक्ट
हैं.
बहुत सारी
and climb
चीज़ें
with
आपकी बातों से निकल के भी आती है. One of the things that I noticed in the video right now was your family, your parents out there. Now, how difficult is it for them to cope up to the fact that their son is almost on an expedition every other month? Let's talk about the fact that these extreme situations like calamities happen once in 10 times. Okay, but on a regular basis, you're almost out on expeditions. How difficult is it for them to cope up with that?
Well, I think it's काफी उनको डर लगता है, especially Indian parents को थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा ही डर लगता है. My mother, but they both are fantastic. They really support me. My mom, I call her Tiger Mom. She's got nerves of steel. To have had a son like me is something really, I think I've kept her busy. But the point is that they always support me, and it's really nice to know when you're climbing a mountain that you've got parents who support your dreams.
Yes, and I could see the glee in their eyes when those shoes were being opened. I could see your parents, especially your father, just looking at that, ध्यान से देख रहे हैं कि जूते हैं किस तरह के. So there is obviously a certain amount of excitement that they get to share with you in your excitement also.
बिल्कुल हाँ, उन लोगों को it's like they are also part of the same dream. वो लोग भी मेरे साथ सपने वही देखते हैं, and they always wish for my safety. But
this calamity happened, this
really
earthquake happened. What was it that went through them?
Mothers being mothers, माँ तो माँ ही रहती है. So obviously I had to give a call in the next 5 minutes and tell her कि भैया क्या हुआ है. Otherwise, I know if she presses the panic button, it's game over, buddy. It's game over. But उन लोगों को मैंने phone करा सबसे पहले, and उनने तभी विश्वास नहीं करा. And this video which I had actually sent, which went viral, and I heard a lot of people have watched this. But the video was for my mom, to see. She was like, "Nahi, send me a video. Let me see you're okay." I was like, "Okay, cool. Take this. Ye lo. Video, देख लो." And it went viral. It actually went viral. A lot of people, जैसे मैंने बताया, a lot of people got to know through that video.
It's approximately 1.5 lakh people. So it's gone beyond viral. It's like something. I remember there were Facebook links also shared, and I could see it being highlighted.
Alright.
It's been like a crazy thing. I think this was one of the first videos which hit the net and became viral because it was one of the first uploads that went on air.
Exactly. And a lot of people got to know that at least a lot of people had from the US, from all over the world, a lot of people had people in the very same valley trekking, and at least from my video, a lot of people got to know that at least at base camp everybody's okay. At Makalu, ABC.
But Komodo Wagli, let me ask you, तो मैंने अभी अर्जुन से पूछा how difficult is it for his family, but how difficult was it for your family given the fact that you are going into a danger zone for that matter? I mean on a general basis देखा जाए, जितने ही लोग यहाँ से डिप्लॉय थे, चाहे वो जर्नलिस्ट रहे हो, चाहे वो मीडिया पर्सन्स रहे हो, चाहे वो रेस्क्यूअर्स रहे हो, चाहे वो इंडियन एयरफोर्स की पूरी टीम डिप्लॉयड हो, you are putting your life also equally at stake at that point to save someone else. So how difficult has it been for your family to cope up with that?
Yes, I have been a helicopter pilot now for 30 plus years. I have flown in all these areas. Before marriage, my parents, like Arjun says, they were really worried, but they did put up a very brave front and really didn't discourage me at all. And after marriage, my wife, in fact, she also is an Air Force officer.
Oh, beautiful.
She's a doctor.
Okay.
And my children, I have a daughter and a son, Arya and Atman, and they are most supportive. And of course, in this operation, I was in an office directing things, so I was behind the scenes really.
Okay, so you're behind the scenes.
So I have not really flown in these, sorties, but I, in a way, control these sorties
but then
from
still,
the operations.
So do you have someone also from your family, apart from your wife, who obviously also belongs to the same line that you do? Are your parents also from an Air Force background?
No, not really.
They're not from an Air Force background.
I am the only one along with
so
my
how
wife
did you choose this line of Air Force? Ekdam alag harke?
I was also always fascinated by flying. So in those days, in the early 80s, commercial flying was an extremely expensive proposition, and it was not really open to middle class families. And I always looked up to the military as one of the most honorable professions, and a combination of my passion or my desire to fly and to serve the nation. I think a combination of these two led me to join the, I joined the NDA and then after got commissioned to the Indian Air Force.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. That's been a long journey. Agar dekha jaye, put short in just a span of probably a minute. But let me come to Arjun. Who comes from your similar background? Do your parents come from the same background?
No.
What is your family into?
My dad was in the army.
Right.
He opted out back in '89, and he was an adventurer himself. He was in the first paras also. So he opted out way before I was born. But then my mom is an artist. My sister is a very good student and is a very good dancer.
Right.
So they're all creative people,
Right.
and I was the only brat in the family probably, like who like everybody thought that iska to bhaiya kuch
कुछ नहीं होने वाला है.
he's not going to be doing it, and it's still funny, for Indian parents to digest. My biggest problem which my mother had with me doing mountaineering was, लोग पूछेंगे तो मैं क्या बोलूँगा, मेरा लड़का पहाड़ चढ़ता है. फिर then I asked myself this question, मैंने लगा लड़का पहाड़ चढ़ता है, हाँ, it is actually funny, like so it is funny, but then I try to make it better by now I work
That's
as
a
a
hilarious line, huh?
I work as a motivational speaker with across various corporates and all the major giants to help them attain short-term goals or a long-term vision along with the right kind of motivation required for them to do so. And it's very easy because मेरा ये मानना है सबकी ज़िंदगी में एक ऐसा एक पहाड़ होता है, एक अपना एक ऐसा एक
Crazy
एवरेस्ट
point,
होता है,
yeah.
और मैंने अपनी ज़िंदगी का एवरेस्ट पे निशाना लगाया था और
Beautiful.
मैं चढ़ पाया था. तो अगर मैं अपनी ज़िंदगी के एवरेस्ट को शेयर करके दूसरे लोगों को अपने एवरेस्ट तक पहुंचा सकता हूं, तो मैं वो हमेशा करना बहुत पसंद करता हूं. I always do that.
Beautiful. So what future plans from here now? This has been an experience that you'll remember for your life, but यहाँ से अब आगे क्या?
मेरा ये एक सपना था. जब मैंने एवरेस्ट चढ़ा था, जब मैं 16 साल का था 2010 में, जब मैं एवरेस्ट की चोटी पे खड़ा हुआ था, तब मैंने वहाँ से जो नज़ारा देखा, मैंने from the top of this world, जो बोलते हैं, the roof of this world at 29,035 feet, when you're standing up there, you can actually see the earth go round. वहाँ से ऐसे धरती गोल होती हुई दिखती है,
wow.
और उस धरती की गोलाई पे आप सूरज को अपने नीचे उठता हुआ देखते हैं. तो जब वो मैंने नज़ारा देखा था, उस दिन मैंने वहाँ से बहुत सारे और पहाड़ देखे थे. मैंने कंचनजुंगा देखा, लोत्से देखा, मनासलू देखा, चोयू देखा, और मैंने उन सभी पहाड़ों को देख के मैंने ये बोला था कि एक दिन मैं ये सारे 14 के 14 पहाड़ चढ़ूंगा. There are 14 mountains in this world which go above this altitude of 8,000 meters. So that day I decided that एक दिन मैं पहला वो भारतीय इंसान बनूंगा जिसने 14 के 14 चोटियों पे इंडिया का झंडा लहराया होगा. और तब से मैंने एवरेस्ट क्लाइंब करा. फिर मैंने 2011 में लोत्से क्लाइंब करा. I became the youngest climber in the world to have climbed Mount Lhotse. Then I climbed Manaslu in 2011 itself, and then I became the youngest climber on that. And now I've been trying to go around all of these 8,000 meter mountains, trying to chase them down one by one.
Kudos to your thought, and we wish you all the best कि you do become that single first Indian who climbs all those 14 mountains. It's a beautiful thought. We definitely wish you all the luck. लेकिन चलते चलते मैं आखिर में पूछूंगी कमांडो वागले, इस समय रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशंस यहाँ पर जारी हैं. So any small message that you would like to communicate or convey across to all those people who are listening to you and watching you right now?
It is difficult to get in touch with my boys who are operating in Nepal right now. Apart from the helicopter fraternity, we have an entire backup team which is there, our ground liaison support. We have an Air Vice Marshal there and an Air Commodore who's running the operations. And we have a communications team which is trying to keep communications flowing between India and Nepal. We have a medical team which is trying to do service, trying to do its best to help out the Nepalese team. My message to them will be to keep their spirits high, and the Indian Air Force and India is proud of the kind of job which they are doing to our our brother country Nepal.
Very, very right. In fact, we will say once again, your entire efforts have been commendable. Thanks to you, the Indian Air Force and the Army, that today we have witnessed such heroic scenes, heroic ship, should I say, for that matter, and also the fact कि आपने इतनी जानें बचाई हैं. You're doing a very good job, very great job, and we'll only say कि आप ये काम आगे भी जारी रखिए, ताकि you can be there in the hearts of millions of people who don't even know you, but they'll definitely always give you their blessings and keep you in their blessings for all the efforts that you're putting in. Thank you so much, Air Commodore Wagle, for joining us over here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Arjun. Once again, wish you all the luck in the world. Do keep that dream alive and climb those 14 mountains, ताकि अगली बार हम आपको फिर से interview करें and we talk about those 14 mountains that you have climbed up on the top.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for talking to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sakshi.
तो दोस्तों ये आपने देखा कि किस तरह से हम कहते हैं ना कि अगर दिल में आप एक वो जज्बा कहीं ना कहीं ज़िंदा रखें तो कोई भी राह मुश्किल नहीं होती है। हर राह पर आप आगे बढ़ते चले जाएंगे और हर जगह आप अपना झंडा लहराते जाएंगे। दैट्स व्हाट द टू जेंटलमैन दैट वी टॉक्ड विद टुडे आर समवेयर डूइंग इन देयर ओन वेज टुडे। One who's saving the lives of people and the other who's just going on from one mountain to the other to live that spirit that is there in his heart, which he'll keep alive, I'm sure, till the end of his life. On that note, अब हम आगे बढ़ते हैं। हम जानते हैं we're headed in the 21st century today and the world is going global. With the world going global, we all have also changed our habits of eating food. Somewhere अगर हम देखें तो आज के ज़माने में food preservatives have taken such a huge role in our life. Amazing to see the transition that has happened. But do you know that these additives, these food additives that come into your preservative foods जो आप खाते हैं, probably stored in your freezer, stored in your fridge, how good or how bad are they? इसमें कितने पॉजिटिव्स और कितने नेगेटिव्स होते हैं, आज हम आपको दिखाएंगे अपनी एक छोटी सी स्टोरी के थ्रू, विच इज़ ऑन फूड एडिटिव्स, इट्स पॉजिटिव्स एंड इट्स नेगेटिव्स।
We talk about the contribution of agriculture in the food product, it is 10%. So it is a huge responsibility on the trade and the food industry to meet this challenge which has given by our Prime Minister. So we have taken this task with the FSSAI to allow at least those food additives which are being already permitted in the international market. With that, the exporters can have the value addition and can export. When we talk about a food product, ourselves, a human body itself is a primary laboratory. Whatever the industry produce, whatever the regulator they permit, but human being as a consumer will accept the product until unless it passes through the primary laboratory which itself the human being have. Whenever we go to the market, we buy a product, first is the look. If the product is not looking good, we are not going to buy it. So one of the component of the human laboratory, I play a very, very important role. The second is the acceptance. Even then we go to buy a fruit, first we take it and take the smell or flavor, whether it is acceptable or not. So that is another instrument is available with the human being. The third is the texture, the touches. If we go to the market, buy a bread, whatever the shelf life is written there or the best before date is written there, until unless we touch, we are not going to buy that the bread. The form, whether it is liquid, solid, or any semi-solid, it has to be seen. And finally, once we taste it, then only it is accepted. So I think all of us sitting here will have a primary laboratory, and I repeat that whatever the government says or whatever the industry produce, until unless consumer accept it, it is not going to be having a place in the market.
It's not just where we are today, but where we need to be tomorrow. And it's not just based, if you will, looking at it from a global perspective, but it's also important to look at it from a national and a regional perspective as well. That's the value of the branches. And encouraging scientific dialogue among experts across all sectors of societies. And I'd be remiss if I did not add a very important qualifier, and that is civil dialogue and civil discourse. So what more can we do to encourage that stronger collaboration through communications? So we have to have a beat on communication. We have to have a beat on coordinating. So what more can we do to coordinate our efforts to harness the synergies to have that collective impact? And that's a goal of ILSI, the One ILSI approach.
Food additive is anything which is linked to food to make it fit for purpose, and it's actually helping the consumers get the benefit. The benefits could be the availability of the food, when the food is shifted from one place to another, the stability of the food, the consumer gets the food in a safe form. If the food additive, which is an anti-kicking agent, added to help us get the flowing salt. Otherwise, we will get salt in lumps. Now, distribution of lumps, and then how do you consume, how much you consume, everyone. So it will vary. The food, when it is being consumed, it should be at least helping the consumer get a feel of satisfaction. Safety certainly is an important baseline. So when we say food additive has been approved, it is understood that the food additive is safe to be used within that limit.
Processed food industry in the country is growing, and with that also will happen the requirement for the additives also will grow. Now, the concerns of the food additives, that as we say, is because the food additive is one aspect which is a matter of public policy and intense regulatory activity that goes around in terms of whether we have the JECFA evaluating the additives, we have the scientific panels of FSSAI looking at the public outside need to be aware of those safety, I would say the belts which is being put in place before the additive gets approved. Products like that contain the fruit. Sometimes people use substitutes like the stabilizers or thickeners in order to jump the requirement on the regulation. The additives which has gone through so many layers of safety, what should be an issue when it is being used within the safe limits? But there are concerns about it, and uses of unapproved additives, typically colorants, and we keep hearing about stories about synthetic milk in the country.
Food safety is nothing but what you eat has to be safe to your body. I think this is where the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, which was formulated by an act of government, is supposed to protect the safety of food in this country. But when we really look at multitudes of food, the law applies only to packaged foods, and it has to be really extended to community food, to railways, to airlines, to restaurants, to many other ways in which food is prepared, including in the kitchen.
बाज़ार में जो फूड मिलता है वो देखने से पता नहीं चलता कि ये सेफ़ है या नहीं है, तो इसीलिए ये FSSAI जो है वो चेक करते हैं, सैंपल लेते हैं और चेक करते हैं। भाई हर सैंपल तो हर फूड का सैंपल तो नहीं ले सकते, तो आपको ये चेक करना चाहिए कि ये फूड जो है वो एक्सपोज नहीं है, मतलब उसके ऊपर मक्खी बैठते हैं, वो मक्खी बैठना नहीं चाहिए। तो उन्होंने कवर किया है या नहीं कवर किया है फूड, वो चेक करना चाहिए कि, और हाथ डालते हैं इसमें और निकालते हैं, जैसे कि ये पानी पूरी है, हाथ डालते हैं निकालते हैं, वो हाथ उनका गंदा होता है तो सब पूरा उनका जो ये है पानी तो पोल्यूटेड हो गया, तो ऐसी चीज़ें नहीं होना चाहिए।
Food safety is something that we can be confident when we take a lunch outside or a packed lunch or even lunch eaten in our house or in a restaurant. That is the level in which we should be talking. India is moving towards it. Whatever anybody says, my strong feeling that India is in the right path for food safety, and let us all get together as Team India through many organizations that we are working together to make every food chain safe.
जो बाहर के केमिकल्स या मेटल से हो जाते हैं उससे बहुत ये डैमेज हो सकता है आदमी को। सो ये दो चीज़ें हैं जो कंटामिनेशन के, वो चेक करना चाहिए कि उससे कोई ये हानि नहीं होती है।
This is a country which is agricultural country, and we don't want to lose and waste food, not only from the market to the consumer, but also from the farmer to the market. Finally, the farmer should get the benefit of growing.
Food is not only consumed by humans, the fodder etc. is consumed by animals, so we also need to look at the animals' safety and animals' performance. So these are some of the procedures which ensure that genetically modified food crops are safe.
कि आप सब्जी खरीदते हैं आपको देख के पता नहीं चलता इसमें पेस्टिसाइड्स है या नहीं, और आप लेबोरेटरी में जाके चेक नहीं कर सकते। इसीलिए ये जो सब्जी जो है वो आप हमेशा साफ धोना चाहिए और पानी में थोड़ा देर रखना चाहिए, तो वो जो केमिकल्स जो है उसमें से वो निकल जाएंगे।
How to make food, processed food safe, as well as we have also done work on water safety, how to make the water free of microbial and chemical contamination. It is a long process, but we have to look at it since food and water both are very, very important for promoting the health of our population.
Well, in a nation where cricket has always caught the center of attention, it is some way heartwarming to today see that there are other sports जो अब धीमे धीमे करके कहीं ना कहीं ऊपर आ रहे हैं और लोगों की नज़रों में बस भी रहे हैं. Well, we're talking about sports like hockey, badminton and football, and to make these sports more easily viewable, accessible, and at the same time to increase the fact of interest in these sports amongst the common people, it is necessary कि कहीं ना कहीं grassroots से या कहना चाहिए at the age of 10 or those tender ages, children should start getting trained. And today, somewhere football has found their new coach. When I talk about football, I talk about the under-17 football team. And yes, they have got their new coach, and thankfully this calls for a brighter ray of hope in the future. Let's get you a story that was done by Ajay Pathak of Doordarshan.
भारत में 2017 में होने वाले अंडर 17 फुटबॉल विश्व कप को देखते हुए भारतीय फुटबॉल महासंघ ने टीम के लिए नया कोच नियुक्त किया है। विश्व कप शुरू होने में अभी लगभग 2.5 साल है, जिसको देखते हुए टीम के लिए अच्छा कदम माना जा सकता है। हमारी टीम विश्व रैंकिंग में काफ़ी पीछे है और टीम को अच्छी कोचिंग की ज़रूरत है, जिससे कि ये बच्चे कुछ नया सीख सके और विश्व को बता सके कि हम भी अपनी मेहनत और लगन के बदौलत अच्छा खेल सकते हैं। नए कोच के आने के बाद यह देखना दिलचस्प होगा कि क्या हम अच्छा खेल दिखा सकते हैं, क्या हमारी टीम अपनी रैंकिंग में सुधार कर सकती है। ऐसे ही प्रश्नों का जवाब देने के लिए भारतीय फुटबॉल महासंघ ने प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस बुलाई, जिसमें नए कोच निकोलाई एडम ने मीडिया के साथ बात करते हुए अपने प्लान को बताया।
I'm very satisfied with what I have seen, but if you ask me today, is it enough to play a World Cup? Then I have to say no. But we have 2.5 years. We definitely need more players. The scouting process is a constant progress. The door to the national team is always open, both ways, in and out. Right now in the A squad I have 20 players, which I selected now from the academy to be the A squad. We also will play the AFC qualifiers here in India in September, right? Yeah. And in between we will prepare the team in our academy in Goa. One of the first trips will be beginning of June to Germany. Look, we have a squad now, like I said, 17 plus 3. This will be around the number I will take to Germany, and this is for me status quo. They are good players, but how good they really are, I will see if I give them exposure to bigger teams, which I will do in Germany. And after that, we will selectively scout position-wise and also selectively in terms of where to look here in India.
इनका काफ़ी हाईली रिकमेंडेड अच्छा रिकमेंडेशन आया था फीफा से और जर्मन फुटबॉल फेडरेशन से, जिनके साथ हमारा एक कोऑपरेशन एग्रीमेंट है। लेकिन मेरे ख्याल से फुटबॉल इज़ मच मोर ब्रॉड बेस्ड, और बट प्रॉब्लम ये है कि फ़ुटबॉल बहुत कॉम्पिटिटिव भी है। तो इस हिसाब से देखा जाए तो नेशनल टीम को आगे बढ़ने के लिए काफ़ी मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी, और हमें भी अपना काफ़ी जो प्रमोशन और पॉपुलराइजेशन ऑफ द गेम है उस पर भी ध्यान देना पड़ेगा। और इसीलिए हमने अंडर 17 वर्ल्ड कप को लाया, हमने बिड किया और इंडिया में अंडर 17 वर्ल्ड कप आई कि यूथ को जो है उसको एक्टिवेट करने के लिए टुवर्ड्स फुटबॉल। तो मेरे ख्याल से ये एक हमारे लिए अच्छा अपॉर्चुनिटी है फुटबॉल को फिर से दोबारा पॉपुलराइज करने के लिए और प्रमोट करने के लिए। इस एकेडमी से और निकोलाई के साथ एसोसिएशन के साथ रीजनेबली कॉम्पिटिटिव इंडियन टीम अंडर 17 टीम होना चाहिए,
जीतना तो बहुत मुश्किल है क्योंकि जो कंट्रीज़ खेलती है वो तो ब्राज़ील, जर्मनी, जापान, एशिया में जापान, तो बट एटलीस्ट हम अगर कॉम्पिटिटिव गेम्स खेलें तो मेरे ख्याल से इस फुटबॉल के लिए बहुत अच्छा होगा.
The boys are fully committed. They give their best, and they are eager to learn and to become better. A coach is never satisfied. He's never satisfied. I have to work with the resources I have. This is my job. This is what I did in the last 5 years. Many people ask about problems and challenges. That's why I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. To solve those problems, to create the best possible team. I hope, because I love the game. I think it's a game that can suit everybody, boys, girls, every age. It's a fun game. You don't need a lot to do it. I hope. Why not have a cricket and football crazy country together? Why not? Sport is something good. You have a lot of people here in India, and in my opinion, there is enough space for a second popular sport, at least for another second popular sport next to cricket. There is enough space, there are enough people.
And on that note, it's time now for me to say a goodbye to you all. लेकिन अगले बुधवार फिर से आपसे एक बार होगी मुलाकात शाम 4 बजे. Till then, have a lovely week and take care of yourself. Goodbye.